What's going on, everybody? Landon here with Home Service Business Coach. Dave, you might have recognized this guy on my right, your left.
Yeah.
Dave, how's it going on this Monday?
Good, brother. I'm excited. We're in the brand new content studio.
It looks great. Got the sign up, got the mics going, the headphones, we actually look legit. And I wanted to, so you guys have seen, obviously those of you who's watching the show, podcast, everything like that, we talk a lot about home service. That's all we talk about. Marketing, building a team, financial tracking, all these different things. We're talking off camera, and this kind of just came to us, so we're just going to shoot from the hip. We're talking about the financial times we're in, the recession, the interest rate hikes everybody's been seeing. Really wanted to pick your brain on that, Dave, because it's something that when I'm speaking to you guys listening, it's a concern. The money, the financial, not just for the program, not just for the business, but I got to take care of my family. Yeah, groceries are expensive now. Chicken's up $7 in the last month. Like, yeah, it's crazy, Dave. So I kind of want to go down and pick your brain. Give us your thoughts, man, on the financial climate we find ourselves in. If Dave is 23 or if Dave is starting a business or trying to scale, where's Dave's mindset when in the financial market we find ourselves?
Yeah, start off with the doozy.
Yeah.
I think, man, the first thing is you want to figure out what your situation is in life, right? We've talked about this, but we really have two ideal avatars, we call them. Anyone with a business, you need to know who your ideal avatar is, right? So one is our kind of single guy or girl, maybe don't have a lot of responsibilities outside of their business, and they're just like, grip it and rip it. I want to grow to 50 or 100K months like as quick as I can. Mm-hmm. And I'm prepared to pull less money out of the business. Yeah. And that was Dave 10 years ago when I was coming up in entrepreneurship, trying to figure it out. Now, the other avatar is kind of that family man or that family woman that's like, man, like this is me now, right? I got a wife, I got a kid at home, I got a mortgage to pay, I got groceries, I got to buy the chicken, we got to get that protein.
You're a human, Dave?
Right? So you can't have that on like 3K a month. You can't even have that on 5K a month. Like it just depends on what kind of lifestyle you want to have. But for me, I want to provide, like I started my business really to provide for myself and my family. That's fundamentally why we get into business, right? So I think it starts with figuring out, are you avatar A? Are you avatar B? Once you have that, then you can start answering your question to say, okay, now this is how I'm going to start to make decisions, because this is your whole lens you see your business through. So I'm happy to walk through either scenario if you want.
Yeah, it's so good. And plan your work your plan. That's something that, you know, the gentleman who told both of us that, we won't get into that. Maybe that's another topic for another day. But your avatar A, you kind of can take all the risk you want. You know, you don't have the looming mortgage. You don't have the grocery bills. Maybe you're living at home. This was a cool idea. I'm just going to rip 10 grand into it and see what happens, right? So Avatar A, maybe we'll talk with you later, but let's focus on Avatar B, because 75-80% of our guys in the program are married with kids. Yeah. So what's happening with Avatar B?
Yeah, man, Avatar B, let's call him Bill. So Bill, let's say, is going to need to make, let's say $10,000 a month. Okay. Let's just say, is that high? Is that low? You can pivot it for your situation, but Bill's got to cover the bills at home. Let's say that Bill is like the primary income earner, right? So if I'm running Bill's company, I'd be thinking you're going to have to grow revenue a bit bigger than the single guy. But we also want to be able to buy back your time. So I would be reverse engineering a plan for Bill to have $50,000 revenue months on the top line, pay all of his bills, and still have 20K of net profit on the bottom line. That's how I would be thinking about Bill's business. And of that 20 grand, Bill's going to be working a 40-hour work week. He'll be jumping on site from time to time. He'll be doing in-person estimates. He'll be running his interviews. He'll be dealing with clients that are upset. He'll be very much having an active role in the business, but he'll be compensated for it. Now, this is where it gets tricky, Landon. Business owners will say, Bill will go to the bar with his buddies. He'll say, I'm making 20K a month, boys. Drinks are on me. I made 20K this month. Like, just because you made 20K in 1 month, we got to make this sustainable and do it again. But this is how I would coach Bill. I would say, Bill, in order to keep your marriage, pay your rent, keep the light on, we need to take 10K of that and power the home. Okay. We're going to leave the other 10K in the business. And that is how you start cooking with gas. It's what Jim Collins calls the flywheel effect, where you start to get some momentum in business. So for Bill to work this plan on 10K and split that's not going to work. We've got to get to 50K months. We want to have 30 grand of expenses. I want to have 20K. I want to take 10 of it home, and I want to keep 10 in the business. Because really, man, I think that's where really marital conflict lies, is when the business is not making money and Bill wants to be crazy entrepreneur, and the spouse at home saying, well, we still have bills to pay. So that's where I've really found a sweet spot of taking half out and leaving half in so Bill can keep scaling the business. And I think that's what keeps both the family and the business happy.
Yeah, man, and so many points on that. I don't think I just read the statistic. I thought the divorce rate is 50. It's actually now 60%.
Wow.
Number one reason, financial struggles. Why my parents balanced separate
Finances,
too.
yeah.
Finances are a huge thing. And I think again too, maybe Bill doing 50K. Okay, he's got his roadmap now. My biggest thing when I'm speaking with the guys is what's going on in my mind is you are bankrupting your company. You're doing 15, 20, maybe you can do it at 30K per month revenue, but you're just bankrupting your company. You don't have any investment back into the business. So Dave, I'm doing, let's do Bob. Okay, so we've talked with Bill. Now Bob, he's doing 20K a month, right? And again, guys, if you're listening to this, just put in your experience, scale it in your mind. So if we're talking 20 grand, if you're doing 10 grand, same percentages still apply to you. Okay, so we're doing 20K a month. How does that look for Bill? How do we grow the business to get to those minimum 50K months without bankrupting your company, but ensuring that his wife's taken care of? It's a tricky situation.
It is, man. And we think it's like counterintuitive that we could actually have a bigger business and work less. Bob's like, there's no way that works, right? It's this self-employed mindset. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. If anything's going to get done, I got to do it. We almost, like a lot of the guys we've worked with, man, worked with now over 200 contractors. We need to change what's going on, the narrative in their head, right? And it just comes from the journey I walked through, man. I had a painting business. I was making 120K a year. I thought I was killing it, right? But I was working my butt off inside the business. I didn't have my time freedom. So to your point for Bob, like 20K is a very pivotal point to be in business, because Bob's going to be very profitable with this 20K. He'll probably be making 10, 12, 14K on that, paying some chemicals, some fuel, and costs are going up, as we've mentioned. But if Bob is decently fiscally responsible, great income powering the home, but then he's like, I see HSBC saying grow to 50K months. How do you actually do that? So what's going to come down to Bob is going to be doing really like a time audit we do in our program, right? And actually saying, okay, if Bob's pulling 20K a month from his business, I would say the majority of his tasks are going to be in two departments. One's going to be in fulfillment. Let's say he's just got, a window cleaning business for fun. He's probably cleaning windows for 30 hours a week, I would guess, we'll just say. And then he's coming home and doing all his invoicing. Maybe he's on Jobber. He's calling clients, setting the schedule, checking the emails.
Dinner with the family.
That's it. Dinner, and then put the kids to bed, and he's back down, and there's no time with the spouse. So it's a tough spot to be in, but it's going to come down to a conscious decision. And I believe the quality of your business is determined by the quality of your daily decisions. And so Bob's going to have to say, look, I'm going to take the next 12 months and I'm going to figure out what actions I need to take to move to 50K months. And it's going to start with 2 key hires. What is a crew of solid technicians? That's what we work with foundations. You have to get yourself off the truck. It's the biggest thing, because you buy back 30 hours a week. And 2, you need a really strong office administrator who can sell over the phone, who can book your appointments, who can really master your CRM. And you just sat down with our office manager, with Katrina, which is an absolute whiz.
Rockstar.
That's the way I bought back my time. So to move from 20 to 50K months, you don't need 10 people on your team. You need 3. You need 2 technicians, you need an office admin, and you need to start going out ideally and estimating in person.
And I love that, Dave, and thank you for that. And if this is you, I'm calling you out right now. The question you're asking yourself, but how do I get enough leads to support that team? We're not going to cover that in this one, but the question I really need you guys to ask yourselves is, just like we have a marketing plan, just like we have a financial planning. And Dave, in my experience, finances is scary. Sitting down, and that's why we have that time on it, because the vast majority of the time you're just waking up and going full tilt. And I was listening to the sermon yesterday at church, and he brought up this neuroscience did this study. The 2 most influential times in the day for self-talk is as soon as you get up, as soon as you go to bed, just before those thoughts before you go to bed. So the question I want to ask is, what's running through your mind as soon as you wake up? If you're scrolling over, you're checking your phone, you're not setting yourself up for success, which means you're probably not tracking your finances, which means you're not tracking your leads, which means there's no wonder why you find yourself in this position, right? Because like we said, interest rates are rising, cost of living's rising, energy's rising. We're in this, switch from green or switch from, gas to electricity, electrification. How, Dave, are people managing, you think? Like, this is the question we're talking about off camera, and you don't really hear anybody talking about it. Like, how are people managing, or are they not?
Yeah, man, I think everyone's in a different situation, right? And we don't want to make light of how tough it is out there. I think, one, it's tough to just survive and pay your bills if you work for a company. Two, you got, double trouble if you're trying to create a cash flow machine from your business. And I also think it's really tough to do that at a certain point if you don't have actually guidance and mentorship. And that's why I started HSBC. Like, we literally had a member, post, I just took a screenshot, posted on a Facebook group and said, if it wasn't for Dave and HSBC, I would have closed down my business. I'm just like, man, that is how hard it is, because things are changing very quickly and things are expensive. We went out, my wife and I, was telling Landon, we went out to the grocery store yesterday. We've got an 8-month-old now, Beckham, and he's starting to eat food, and we racked up a $275 grocery bill. And maybe you dads on camera are laughing because that's just the new norm.
Yep.
And maybe that's the reality we're in. But I'm like, man, we didn't really splurge on things that were, crazy expensive. We're not buying that nice meat, right? That was like essentials, right? We're living a good life, and we didn't have to buy some of the stuff. But, I did slip in some of my non-alcoholic beers and, couple things like that. But at the end of the day, that's just one avenue. Not to mention, when you get employees, they're shopping at the same grocery store as we are.
Yep.
We're gassing up our vehicles. You guys see chemical going up. You see paint going up. You see equipment going up. So how I would counteract this question, man, is like, if you're not actively looking for mentorship and help and guidance now, it's like 10 times harder than when I got going with Revive. Stuff was cheaper. I got my first van for $3,000.
Yep.
Today, that'd probably be $8,000, right?
Yep.
Like, things just escalated up, things just notched up, and how fast now the world is changing. If you think you can grow a successful business without having a blueprint and a roadmap, I think you're in for a dose of reality, because before Landon, things went crazy. 8 out of 10 of us didn't even make our 5th birthday.
Yep.
And congratulations if you did. 80% of you now aren't going to hit your 10-year.
Yep.
So it's just like, we have to do what Jim Collins says, and that's confront the brutal facts. And these are the brutal facts in business.
And the brutal facts is that, just like the financial cycles, like for, because I don't know, call me whatever. I was like, let's research the 2008 financial crisis a little bit more in depth. Like, what the heck happened here? Everybody lost their skin, as you know. Every single one of you have lived through it. I hope that 2009 maybe hasn't started to bit stiff out early. But with that, there's more millionaires created, not because there was this newfound knowledge and they somehow skated by and did everything right before the crash, but it's that they saw the opportunity and they're viewing this as an opportunity, which again, if you're saying, Alana, how can I view this? Interest rates, groceries, all these different things are rising. This is an opportunity for you guys to say, okay, who's done this just like they did in 2008? Okay, housing prices up here, went down here, they bought in, stock market, whatever it is, which by the way, 12% return, that's really good. If if the house 4X's itself in 20 years, you're laughing. We'll touch on that in the second day. But you got in at the low, which again, we've just come up here. We've had since 2010, we've gone all the way up here. And now we're back down here with everything going on in COVID. What's happening again? History repeats itself. So what's going to happen? The market's going to go up. And the question is to propose to yourself, what position are you in? Are you in the position to be like, look, I'm going to take this time, as difficult as it is, learn everything I can through people that have done it before to be an inspiration when the market goes up here again? Or are you going to be sitting there scratching your head in massive amounts of debt because your business didn't fail or fail? Yeah. To put it bluntly.
And man, like, now is the time. Like, never in society have so many people wanted to start their business than today. And again, like not just home services, but start an online store, right? Or start selling a digital product or start a local coffee shop. Like, I think we're seeing people make it work. And that's where we're also looking at our bills with our spouses saying, okay, we need to make 10 a month. We're making 8 combined income. How can we close the gap on that too? And that's even some guys listening right now, right? Hey, maybe you could make $2,000 extra a month by ripping off a few, paint jobs. But like what I really think, and that's all good, but I think I would look at business as really an opportunity in today's day and age, today's economy, to say that is the way I go and bet on myself. And I really build a solid, and like when I got started, I had no idea any of this stuff was coming, but now I look back and you look like a genius because for 15 years, I've just been doing this. And in 10 years, it'll be the same thing, man. We'll literally be looking back saying, I remember that talk Dave and Landon said, I felt this fire in my belly and I didn't go out and start. In 2034, if you took action this month and build something, because man, you work as an employee for another company. There's nothing wrong with that, but there is inherent risk with that as well. Like what happens if that company goes under, or for a big company, you're literally a number. So like for me, it was more about, I know I can knock on doors. I know I can market the heck out of my business. I know I can sell. I did learn how to paint and pressure wash and clean windows, albeit I'm not great at it. But I learned those skills, and what Hormozi says, rather than worrying about diversifying all your income, how about you just figure out how to make $200,000 a year? Like build the skill set and make $20K a month. And that's what having a business can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to touch on that as well. That still, Dave, that sounds like a lot of investing of money when I don't have it right now, right? Which again, that could be you. And if you are listening to this, you don't really have another option, to be honest, Dave, because well, I'll just say it, you're screwed if you don't figure this thing out, especially in the time that we're in. Like, I genuinely believe that after, again, research and seeing this out. Yeah. We can get 12% on the market. The best I've ever seen. Okay, so I really actually want to say this. The best I've ever seen is a 43% on a portfolio worth about $10 million. So that's some money. Now we're talking some money. Number one, trading. 50 years experience with the individual leading that account. And number two, live through multiple cycles. Mindset, this is an opportunity. There's that quote, when there's blood in the streets, you buy. It's this type of ruthless methodology here. So you can get 43%, which is 43%.
Yeah.
What else can do that, Dave? So you have to mention 45, 50 years of actual knowledge and then financial discipline to be able to accumulate that much wealth to be able to leverage, plus being okay to lose $10 million. Okay.
We're talking about your portfolio.
I know, right? But one day, buddy.
But honestly, that is a point I think to graduate to. You got to look at, and I'm not a financial advisor. I've just been running my own business for a decade and a half. So you got to figure out, man, what is your active income? What am I going to do Monday to Friday that's going to pump cash in today's economy, okay? Because that's active income. Then you have investment income, right? Which is, to your example, I think most of our listeners are wanting to graduate to that investment income, right? Our members, a lot of them want to build profitable businesses to start building a real estate portfolio, because once you've got cash flow and properties, if you've got 4, 6, 10 of those, the operating business, the active income, you might be like, man, I don't really want to go pressure wash all day, right? And so you kind of earn your investment income through your active income. So I would look at, let's say you have a painting business, and I would say, how can I get my active income up to 10K? 20K, 30K, 50K, whatever it is per month. And then you can start looking up and saying, I got some extra dough here. I can do something with real estate, right? And we could go down a rabbit trail and say, prices are so expensive. Like when I bought my first placement in 2012, people were saying that $200,000 for a condo, that is ridiculous. Why would you ever? And I sold the thing for $385 a handful of years later. And it did it again and again and again. And so the majority of the world is going to tell you you're dumb. I remember, man, this program I was in, we all went on kind of this camping trip together. It was this overnight thing, business entrepreneurship group. And I met one of the guys there, and he was running late to the thing. And he's like, guys, sorry, I'm running late. I just got back from a Tony Robbins event. It was $10,000. And the group was like, this guy is who spends 10 grand? This was 2016. I had never heard of a mastermind or really even much of Tony Robbins. I'm like, who would do that? And I find out later that night, the guy has the most successful business. And I'm just like, maybe this is a cheat coded life that you actually get out of something what you put into it. And he's looking at 10 grand I'm putting down, and I'm going to make a few million from my business this year. So like, that's just the whole flip of the mindset, saying
It is.
if you've got some big balls, like 10 grand as you grow your business, and I mean this with all respect, it's actually not that much money when you look at what the potential is to earn it. Because we kicked off this episode talking about Bill, who needs to make 10K a month.
Yep.
If you put in that 10K into someone to give you the blueprint, the roadmap to help you get that, you then have those skills, and you're like, then we start multiplying.
And Bill's 40, and he has those skills for another 40 years.
Yeah.
He has them for life. And like, I have no shame talking about or plug in HSBC for that, because again, if I'm trying to take it from a different angle for you guys. If we look at the pyramids, massive amount of resources and gold needed. Egypt wasn't the only country that was wealthy, but they were the only one that you can find the pyramids in. Why? We still don't know, but obviously they had knowledge other civilizations did not have, and also the why to do that. So again, for you guys, do you have the knowledge in order to get your business to 50K, 100K, well beyond, get yourself off the truck, all these different things, get more leads, build that team? Do you guys have the knowledge? No? Okay. Then do you have a great enough why to figure it out? And if you do have a great enough why, the money will come. I don't know how many times like we could go on and on and on.
I'll give one more, man. My buddy said to me, kind of a guy I know on Facebook, we don't really hang out. So he said he wants to start, he saw what I'm doing with coaching and thought it'd be cool to start up. So could we, get a coffee and pick my brain? He's not like a close friend. I declined and sent him a nice voice memo. I said, look, people hit me up all the time. Here's a couple things to try, but like, I don't really, consult in that arena. But what I did have no shame in telling him, man, was that like to this day, I've spent $62,000 to grow HSBC. Like I'm on 4 coaches now. So almost every year is a new coach, right? And the first one's $6,000, then one's 10, then one's 32. Like, it's like, people are like, that is insane. But when you look at the return, I can get 10X, and I can get 10X in 2024, 2025, 2026, and that's where it's like the most powerful thing in the world is compounding interest. And when you see this compound effect of your skills and your knowledge, like when you build more value in the world, the income will then follow. And man, my first coaching experience, I just came back from backpacking through Thailand. And I remember I was in Krabi, Thailand, if anyone's backpacked. It's this little beach town. And I'm binge listening to Lewis Howes' The School of Greatness. Okay,
Great podcast.
And Lewis had one guest on. This was in like his 100th episode. Now he's well over 1,000. And the guest was like, if you don't respect your business enough to put $10,000 in, I don't think you really deserve. Like, he was like, giving it. And I came back home, and I knew I needed to hire a business coach. And I started talking to this business coach. It was literally, he pretty much had to swear at me and say, like, you need to effing grow up. And like, I was like, all right, on the call, I'm sold. As like, it took that, because I'm on the DISC assessment. I'm an SC. I will research something and look at it at a different, and I'm also Dutch. So I'm not just writing a check, but I'm saying, I see the strong ROI here. It is time to go like all in on my hopes and dreams. And I had to do that. And like, it's this muscle you build where you bet on yourself in entrepreneurship, and it gets quite powerful that you then start teeter-tottering out saying it's just money, there's more of it, but there's not more time. And so I have enough confidence to go in with this person, take my money, because I want the knowledge and the skills. And you're just like constantly trading.
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes with anything, whether it's been sales training for me or investing in a fitness coach or whatever it is, something that isn't even like in ROI, right? But in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I hire somebody who's in really great shape and I aspire to get there, health is everything. So the ROI, right, is I'm paying this guy money. He's not going to give me a single dollar back. But what is that worth? Well, it's worth way more than $5,000 to me. There's nothing. I can't quantify that. And the question again, then it becomes, you obviously are going to, you've made the biggest risk. You jumped into business. You became a crazy person. You made the second biggest risk. You invested 3, 5, 10 grand. I know we tell you to bootstrap it. Most of y'all didn't. Some of y'all even went in 40K, 80K rigs, talking full blowns. And then you see them on Facebook Marketplace. It's like, okay, I have all the equipment, but I have zero idea where I'm going. I probably should have a guide, because Lewis and Clark had a guide to discover America. If you look at any exploration, again, let's move outside of business so that maybe you're seeing this from a different perspective. If you look at any where exploration is taking place, there's always has to be a visionary to go before, create the path, and to allow others to follow suit. And it's the same thing when it comes to knowledge here too.
I think this might land too, man. Like, think the different areas you need to be strong at as you scale a business is like, equipment is one thing, right? You got to do the service. You can't be looking like a schmuck. So I think a lot of listeners, you're already a 9 out of 10 on equipment. So like, for us to move from 9 to 10 and go get the new ball valve or the new thing to plug it, like, there's not a huge lift on that. So once you hit 9 out of 10, leave it. We're good to go. Cool. Next category, sales. How good are you actually at selling? A lot of guys you work with, they're like 3s and 4s down. So there's a gap there. Okay. Number 3, marketing, right? This is not the pandemic anymore where we were flush with leads. We have to go get leads. A lot of guys, a lot of business owners don't know how to do that. Again, where are you out of 10? Maybe a 3, 4. How organized are you with your time?
2.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Finance is another one. Operations. So it's like, you need 10 probably very key different silos, almost like this bar graph. And I think a lot of guys hit it great in equipment and vehicles, and they got the like, get your technician mind, just leave that, and let's go build out these other 9 channels, because that's when you see really the lift on your business. And I just think most business owners in our space, they almost misalign what kind of business they have, where it's like, this is not pressure washing, it's actually owning a customer service business, a leadership development company, a sales and marketing company that happens to do the pressure washing.
Okay. Maybe give us another example. Company fails, which 50% of you within the first 5 years is just going to happen, right? Unless you, again, surround yourself, turn every single stone, I say, so that if it happens, you're like, hey, I have no regrets. Let's say you go back to your job. Every single one's been an employee. Dave, you've been, I have been, every single person has been an employee in this life, pretty much. If you want to make 150 grand, you probably, listening to this, don't have the skill set when you come on board to the company to make 150,000. Because if you did, you would already been in $200,000 worth of student loan debt. 200,000 to make 150. Do the math. So we come into the company. What is the first thing any company worth their weight? Fortune 500, Fortune 1000. What are they doing? Training. They're putting you through a week to 2 week intensive training. They're investing money into you already. So that, again, let's say you come in with a 60K. They want to bring you up in the fastest amount of time possible to making 100K, because if you're making 100K, that means they have to be making 500, $1 million off of your back. So right here, if you're an employee, you couldn't even make what you want to make, but that's the beautiful thing of why you started your business. But again, the biggest question here is you lack the skill gap. You're here, what you want is here. The difference isn't equipment. The difference is, I just need more leads to solve this month. No, it's to learn marketing to feed myself for the next 10 years. That's the gap.
And man, I think most listeners right here, let's just say, paint with a super broad brush. Let's say you're making 60 grand a year from your business. Let's just, like, literally by the time you pay everything, let's just call it what it is. We want to get to those 20K months. We want to get 200K. We have $140,000 income gap, which is exactly your point. Like, the income gap is vast, and that's where you need to start climbing the ladder of retooling some of these business skills, doing surgery on your mindset. And it's not an overnight fix. Like, the first thing we do when we work with companies is we need to change how they think. We need to rewire their brain, because your business today is a direct reflection of how you view yourself and how you think about your business. It just dictated all your actions.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, again, you're listening, and I don't want to keep going on and spinning this wheel here, because we are biased, but we're also highly convicted, because we've literally seen hundreds and hundreds of people in your local community. You probably know. I want you to go talk to the richest person each and every single one of you know. And I'm talking straight cash. I'm not talking they're wealthy because they're happy in life. I'm talking straight cash. More than likely, they're going to be a business owner. Okay, number one. Number two, more than likely they'll have said, look, I made it because I was in the right place at the right time. I got lucky, which not a lot of people talk about. We're here, and now we're here with everything rising. So we're in the right time right now, the next year we have, okay? And then number 3, did you have a mentor? Did you have a guide, a visionary who's went before you that then taught you something? And if all 3 of those are yeses, you have your answer right there. I want to tell you a story about the neighbor I finally met. And I had seen this guy, and he's had the Porsches, he has the Lambos, and in my neighborhood, it's like, I mean, it's middle class, upper middle class neighborhood, but it's not a rich, wealthy, gated community. So I'm like, hey, this guy's got the Tesla Plaids, he's got the Perform, like, what is this guy doing? And I'm FaceTiming my sister after a walk, and those walks are great, by the way. FaceTiming my sister after a walk, and I like start showing her the cars, right, just to be like, this guy's crazy. John, he pops the corner, 33-year-old guy, okay? And he's like, you like the cars. Anyways, that led to almost an hour conversation between him and I. How he made his money was real estate, which again, that's a lot of your long-term goals. But what he said is that he invested in his first property at 20. And if this is the first gentleman I have ever heard, he's got $4 million worth of cars sitting right there, all personally in his name. This is the first gentleman to say, I met the right people who gave me the right information at the right time. Because he bought in at 2010, the bottom of the market, and he rode that up. He says, now I do some trading and stuff. I'm ready to lose all my money when I go to trade. But you guys are not willing to put your money where your mouth is, lose the money when it comes to your business. You're so busy holding on to a scrap of meat when you're missing the steak, if you will. Penny wise, pound foolish. But also too, it's just, there is a lot of luck, but how you force your luck is by who you know, community, and getting around the right information. Yeah. Like, and it just blew me away how humble, and the guy's 33, like, come on, how humble, and how first guy to be like, it wasn't based off my brilliance, it was, I met the right people who gave me the right information at the right time. And that's it. So take for what you will from that story. That happened Wednesday. It's Monday now. That happened Wednesday. So
Crazy.
Go figure that out. But Dave, any kind of, I know we've been ripping here for quite a while on this topic. Is there anything you want to rip from the heart about guys listening to this? It's Dave, life's hard. Like personally, I've been in debt, credit's been affected, all these different things, right? Like I totally understand. Didn't grow up with a lot of money. I know you didn't as well. Your dad's a pastor. Yeah. We both know the struggle, and there's not this eclipse point that you get to. And if there is, well, I don't think either of us are there at all. Well, what are you telling yourself?
Yeah, man, I think for me, like I try to view things through a lens. Like I believe there's really 4 main facets of life, and this is just how I really view it. One is your faith. So I think we don't talk about it a lot on the show, but I am Christian, and I do believe that there's more to life than what's on earth for a temporary experience. And that's like the lens how I see the world. 2 is my family. Like being a dad now, you'll do anything to provide for your family and create a better future for them and really give them opportunities, I think. 3 is finances. That's really where like business comes in, right? Which is kind of the premise of this show here, like giving you guys tools and access to this information to change the way that you're thinking. And for me, it's how to power my lifestyle is really the business, my career, that's what I do. And the last thing is just your health, right? You've touched on that. For me, I don't probably work out as much as I should. However, I do believe there's a health component to having a coffee with a friend. For me, I try play 18 holes every second Wednesday if I can. And I try go alone because like just for Dave's mental health, the iPhone's not ringing, the Slack isn't buzzing. And it's like, that is my retreat. Like I just turned 35 this last week. And I took myself in the morning to golf 18 holes. And the guy's like, oh, it's your birthday. Is anyone else? Like, no, it's just me today. It's always just me. But that's how I like it. And that's part of my health. Sitting in the hot tub, that can be health. Going for a walk. So that is kind of the other big component. So I think see your overall business as it pertains to finances for what it is, but that also will help power like the other quadrants of life, because I do believe there is a security component when you do have some dollars in the bank and you're not stressed and you can go and pay $2.75 at the grocery store, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot, but we're still going to be okay.
Yep.
There's a health component to that, just as far as peace of mind goes as well. So
I mean, that was phenomenal, Dave. I mean, I want to touch on two things. So I have one quick fire question. Have you ever paid a coach or a personal trainer for your health?
I never have. This is good.
Do you think that's why you might struggle?
100%. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so that just proves the concept right there.
Yeah.
Your money's where your mouth is. Number two, our ladies are both, or your wife, I guess my girlfriend, funny enough, they both work at the exact same hospital, PC Children's here in Vancouver, which is just like, go figure that one out. When it comes to that, they have the industry knowledge on health and the scientific mind that we obviously don't have. The number one leading cause of health-related issues, which health, if you've ever been sick, you're like, health's okay, and then you're sick, you're like, oh, I just want to be healthy. It's the number one thing. What's the number one leading cause of chronic disease? You mentioned that. Stress,
like mental health.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it's like, it will weigh on you so much to the point that you will drive your body physically into ill health. And that is, again, what I've heard, what Alex, I'm sure, has told you. Remove as much stress of your life. And how you do that is you have to have a calling into a higher purpose. You have to be able to see common trends, obviously, throughout your life. But money, it's the love of money is the root of all evil. Money itself is not evil. And money does help. I mean, it's the world we live in. Right? So what we need money, but again, more than likely you're going to have to invest. As Robert Kiyosaki has the 4 quadrants. What is that? Employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. Investor's always the last one. Yeah. But that investor, I think I would disagree with him. You have to invest that when you are a business owner first, into yourself.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think to end it too on a positive note for everybody, like if you actually think about back to your health, and I understand we want to grow our businesses and we want to, create success for our families. If you actually think about where you are in life, if you get to wake up and be an entrepreneur every day and have that choice of schedule, that's huge. Not to mention, let's just say right now you had, no arms and no legs. Do you think that you would pay $1 million to get new arms and legs? It's like, you're already like a millionaire, multi-millionaire, deca-millionaire, just based on the life circumstances that you have. So I think sometimes we're like, I'm at 10K, I saw someone at 20K, and now I feel like social media will do that to yourself. I think just like recognize what you've been given right now in life, be grateful for that, be striving to grow, but also pivot back to be like, I think I just saw this through backpacking in developing countries. You just see how good we do have it. So I think like, don't get in this pigeonhole of like, boo-hoo, this has to be the goal. Like, I think try and see the bigger picture already, what you do have, and still work like heck to get to the next level. But I think you got to pivot back to what we do have.
Yeah, absolutely. And that advice came from a $10,000 Tony Robbins mastermind.
There you go.
I'm kidding. Dave, I've always appreciated your time. It's always good to be in the office. New studio. We'll be having lots more content on there. But everybody take care. You can schedule a link to book a call with me. Got to figure out 2 things. I'm going to sound like a broken record. If we like each other and if we can even help your business. As Dave, we don't work with everybody, maybe 5% of people. In 100 companies, we're going to maybe work with 5 and be able to help them, all due to the owner's mindset, which is what we talked about today. So everybody take care. Follow us on Facebook.
All the stuff. Home service business coach anywhere, really.
Yeah, pretty much. And we'll see you guys later. I look forward to hopefully chatting on the phone. Take care, everybody.